Imagine being abandoned by the one you loved left, with nothing but two hungry children and a broken heart. Imagine struggling on the streets thinking no one would ever care until an unexpected face from the past appears. Is it fate? Is it a second chance? Or is it another heartbreak waiting to happen? Sit back and find out as we dive into this powerful story of love, betrayal, and redemption. The streets of Lagos were alive with noise. Cars made their way through traffic. Pedestrians hurried along the sidewalks. Tyler Johnson sat in the back of his black SUV scrolling through his phone as his driver navigated the familiar morning rush as they approached a busy junction. The car bumped slightly, dipping into a pothole. The driver slowed down, carefully navigating around the rough road. Tyler Johnson looked up, noticing how rough the road was, but his eyes landed on something that made him freeze by the roadside. A woman sat on the ground, her back leaned against a small tree. Her clothes were worn out, her hair unkempt, and her arms held two little boys close. The children, no older than 4, held on to her, their small faces tired and weary. One wiped his face with the back of his hand, while the other stared blankly into the distance. Tyler Johnson's chest tightened. There was something familiar about the woman, something from long ago. He leaned forward, narrowing his eyes. Could it be no? It wasn't possible yet. As the car slowly moved forward, the uneasy feeling in his stomach grew stronger. His heartbeat quickened. It was her. Tyler Johnson swallowed hard and quickly spoke. "Pull over." "Supper," he instructed his driver. The driver obeyed, parking a short distance away without another thought. Tyler Johnson stepped out of the car and walked toward the woman, his polished shoes tapping against the rough pavement. His heart pounded with every step. Standing just a few feet away, he hesitated, studying her face up close. There was no mistake. It was a Maka. Taking a deep breath, he mentioned her name, Jessica. The woman startled at the sound. Slowly, she lifted her head. Her eyes, once bright and full of life, were now dull and heavy with pain. The moment she saw him, she tensed up. Her mouth opened slightly, but no words came out. "Tyler Johnson." She finally managed to say, her voice weak. He was overwhelmed with emotions. Amaka, the girl who once walked through school with confidence, who never noticed him beyond an awkward classmate. Now she looked broken. Lost for a few seconds, neither of them spoke. The noise of the city returned, but it felt distant. The two boys hugged their mother tightly, knowing she was upset. Tyler Johnson's jaw tightened. What happened to you?" Jessica looked down, her arms tightening around her children. "Leave Tyler Johnson, just go." But he couldn't, not after seeing her like this. Not after remembering who she once was. Something deep inside him refused to walk away. Jessica pulled her sons closer, as if shielding them from a danger. Only she could see her body shook slightly, and her lips trembled as she whispered, "Tyler Johnson." The way she said his name, soft, uncertain, sent a strange feeling through his chest. This was not the Jessica he remembered. She had once been full of life, always surrounded by friends, always laughing. She had been the girl everyone admired, the one he had secretly liked from afar back in school. She never saw him. Not really. She was the shining star, and he was just another boy in the background. And when he finally gathered the courage to talk to her, she had laughed, not cruelly, but the kind of laugh that made it clear he was not someone she would ever consider important. But now the confident girl he had admired was gone. She had become a woman that looked exhausted, holding on to her children like they were the only thing keeping her afloat. Tyler Johnson swallowed, suppressing the pain of past memories. Jessica let out a shaky breath, her fingers gripping the thin fabric of her son's shirts. The boys held on to her, their eyes glanced between her and the strange man standing before them, Tyler. Johnson took a step closer, his voice gentle but firm. "Jessica, what happened? How did you end up here?" She lowered her eyes. "It doesn't matter, just leave. Please, Tyler." Johnson's chest tightened. "Jessica, this isn't right. You don't belong here. You were supposed to have a good life." She let out a weak, bitter laugh. "Life happened, Tyler Johnson, and not everyone gets a second chance." He looked at her children, then at her with compassion. "Let me help you." Her head snapped up, her eyes flashing with something: anger, shame, fear. "Help? You don't understand. You can't just fix everything." Some things are too broken to be fixed, Tyler Johnson exhaled, steadying himself. Maybe, but that doesn't mean you have to face it alone. Jessica turned away, holding her boys tighter. Just go, Tyler Johnson. This isn't your problem. Tyler Johnson studied her, seeing beyond the dirt in exhaustion. This was a woman who had suffered, who had fought to survive, and yet the Jessica he had once known was still there, buried under the weight of whatever had happened to her. He wasn't going to walk away. Tyler Johnson's eyes softened, but his voice was firm. Come with me, Jessica. I can help you. Jessica shook her head quickly. No, we will manage. I don't need your pity. Tyler Johnson took a deep breath. This is not pity. This is me trying to help someone. I know someone I care about. Jessica shook her head. You don't understand if I go with you. What happens next? I can't depend on anyone. Tyler Johnson, life has taught me that Tyler Johnson studied her life has been unkind to you, Jessica, but you don't have to fight alone. She looked away. We are fine, just leave. Before Tyler Johnson could respond, one of the twins cried. His tiny hand held his stomach. A low, weak cry escaped his lips. Tyler Johnson's heart sank. The boy was hungry, the other child buried his face in Jessica's side, his small body shaking. Tyler Johnson bent his knees, squatting before her. Jessica, look at them. They need food. They need a safe place. You don't have to do this alone. You don't have to be stubborn. I believe God has orchestrated our paths to cross for the sake of these children. Jessica's lips trembled. She looked down at her sons, her face filled with pain and tears. For the first time, Tyler Johnson saw something shift in her eyes. Hesitation. Jessica's expression turned serious, her fingers shaking slightly as she looked from Tyler Johnson to her children. She could see the concern in his eyes, but she had spent years learning not to trust promises. People always left. Help always came with a price. Tyler Johnson sighed. Jessica, I know this is hard, but you need to let someone in. Let me in just for tonight. Let the boys eat, sleep in a warm bed. Her breathing faltered as she looked down at her sons. They were weak, too tired to complain. She couldn't keep pretending they were fine. She nodded, barely whispering. All right, but just for tonight. Tyler Johnson exhaled, his relief visible. He helped her up gently, then led her and the children toward the car as they entered. Tyler Johnson turned to his driver and said, Make a U-turn, take us home. The drive to Tyler Johnson's house was silent. Jessica stared out of the window, deep in thought, as if afraid this was all a dream that would disappear before they arrived. Tyler Johnson had called a chef and given a simple instruction: prepare something nice, something warm. He wanted Jessica and her children to have the best meal they had eaten in a long time. When they arrived, she hesitated before stepping out the house. Before her was huge, glowing with warm lights. The boys clung to her legs, their eyes wide in amazement inside. The air smelled fresh. The floors sparkled and everything felt soft and welcoming. The twins looked around in awe, their little fingers brushing against the couch. But Jessica felt out of place. The walls were too clean, the furniture too expensive. She had spent years in the dirt. She didn't feel she belonged here. Tyler Johnson placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. You don't have to feel this way, Jessica. You and the boys are safe here. She swallowed hard, fighting the lump in her throat. Safe! She had not felt that in a long time. The dining table was filled with steaming plates of food, jollof rice, fried plantain, and bowls of pepper soup. The rich aroma filled the air, but Jessica hesitated, her fingers gripping the edge of her chair. Her sons, however, had no such doubts. As soon as the plates were set before them, they eagerly started eating. Jessica watched them, her heart aching. For months, they had survived on scraps, eating only when a kind stranger offered something. Seeing them eat a proper meal now felt unreal. Tyler Johnson, seated across from her, noticed the way she held back a macaca. Eat, you don't have to be afraid. Her lips trembled as she picked up a spoon. She took a bite of the rice. The rich, spicy taste filled her mouth, and before she realized it, tears welled up in her eyes. She covered her mouth, trying to hide her emotions. Tyler Johnson saw and pretended not to notice. He simply poured her a glass of water and slid it toward her. Take your time. Jessica swallowed hard, blinking rapidly. Thank you, she whispered. Her sons, unaware of their mother's struggle, continued eating happily. One of them with food on his cheek looked up and smiled. "Mommy, this is the best food ever." A shaky smile broke through Jessica's tears. "I know, my love. I know." After eating, the boys were taken to a guest room where a housekeeper helped them clean up and get into fresh clothes. Jessica, now alone with Tyler Johnson in the living room, sat stiffly on the edge of the couch. The warmth of the house, the soft glow of the lamps. It all felt too comfortable, too unfamiliar. Tyler Johnson sat across from her, studying her carefully. "Jessica, what happened? How did you end up like this?" She exhaled. "It's a long story. I have time." Jessica folded her hands together, staring at the floor. After a moment, she let out a deep sigh. "I was young and foolish," she began. "When I met Amma, he was everything I thought I wanted. Charming, confident. He had a way of making me feel like the only woman in the world." Tyler Johnson remained quiet, listening. "He promised me heaven and earth. He talked about a future, about a big house, about children running around in a beautiful home. I believed him. I trusted him. But when I told him I was pregnant, everything changed." She paused, her eyes dark with memories. "At first, he pretended to be happy, but I saw the fear in his eyes then. Little by little, he started avoiding me. Calls went unanswered, messages were ignored. Then one day, he was gone, just like that." Tyler Johnson clenched his jaw. "So he just abandoned you?" "Yes," Jessica whispered, "and I was left with nothing. No job, no money, no support. My father threw me out, said I had brought shame to the family. My mother cried, but she couldn't stop him. I had nowhere to go. I struggled." Tyler Johnson. "I begged for jobs. I did everything I could to take care of my boys, but it was never enough." Tyler Johnson clenched his fists, his chest tightening with rage. "That man left you to suffer. He didn't even check on his children." Jessica shook her head. "Not once, not a single phone call. He never even saw them." Tyler Johnson exhaled sharply. "Where is he now?" "Do you know, I have no idea. I stopped looking after a while. I realized he was never coming back." Tyler Johnson's fingers dug into the armrest of his chair. "A real man doesn't abandon his children. He doesn't leave the woman he claimed to love to suffer like this." Jessica gave a bitter smile. "Emma was never a real man. He was just a coward in a nice suit." Tyler Johnson shook his head. "If I ever find him," Jessica placed a hand on his arm, stopping him. "Tyler Johnson, it doesn't matter anymore. What matters now is my boys. They need stability. They need a future." Tyler Johnson took a deep breath, trying to control his anger, "and they will have one. Jessica, you don't have to do this alone anymore. I won't let you." Tears welled in Jessica's eyes, but this time, they were not just from pain. They carried something else. Hope. Jessica looked down. "I made a big mistake, Tyler Johnson. I was proud. I never imagined I'd need help." Tyler Johnson leaned forward, his eyes soft but serious. "A macabre pride is not a crime. Wanting a good life is not a mistake." She let out a shaky breath, but I ignored the signs. I should have known. H.O. wasn't the man I thought he was. People warned me, but I didn't listen. I thought I was smarter than them. I thought love was enough. Tyler Johnson stayed silent, letting her speak, and when things got bad, I still couldn't ask for help. I kept thinking I could fix it myself, that if I just held on a little longer, things would change. But they didn't. They only got worse. She blinked rapidly, looking away. I was too ashamed to face anyone from my past. I thought they would laugh at me, tell me I deserved it, that I had made my bed, and now had to lie in it. Tyler Johnson shook his head. "No one deserves what happened to you, Jessica. No one." She swallowed hard. "But I laughed at you once, Tyler Johnson, back in school when you liked me. I thought you weren't good enough now. Look at us. You're the one who's offering to help me, and I'm the one who has nothing." Tyler Johnson exhaled. "Life doesn't work like that. You think I'm helping you because of some old feelings? No, Jessica. This isn't about the past. It's about what is right, and leaving you on the streets with those boys would be wrong." Jessica's lips trembled, but she said nothing. Tyler Johnson sighed, rubbing his palms together before speaking again. "You don't have to be ashamed, Jessica. Everyone makes mistakes." She shook her head. "But I don't want to be a burden to you." Tyler Johnson let out a short laugh. "A burden? Do you know how many people I help that I don't even know? You are someone I grew up with, someone I once cared about. If I can help strangers, why wouldn't I help you?" Jessica's eyes filled with tears again, but she quickly wiped them away. "I just don't want to feel like I owe anyone." Tyler Johnson nodded. then don't consider this a second chance. Not a debt, a chance for you to get back on your feet, for your boys to have a better life. She took a deep breath, staring at her hands slowly. She nodded. Okay, Tyler Johnson, I'll try. Tyler Johnson smiled, the first genuine smile he had shown all day. That's all I asked. Sapishorn. The next morning, Tyler Johnson arranged for a macaca and the boys to get new clothes. He led them to a boutique in a quiet part of town, where a kind-looking woman welcomed them with a warm smile. Pick whatever you like. Sheko. Tyler Johnson said. Jessica hesitated, looking at the price tags. Everything looked expensive. Tyler Johnson, I can't. You can, Jessica. Your boys deserve this. You deserve this. She took a deep breath and nodded, unsure. But knowing her children needed this, and the twins ran excitedly through the store, picking out tiny shirts and showing them to their mother. Jessica carefully selected simple but elegant dresses for herself and the kids. When they were done at the boutique, Tyler Johnson took them to a hospital for a full checkup. Jessica sat anxiously as the doctor examined her boys. They are a little underweight, the doctor said, but with proper meals, they will be fine. Jessica let out a breath she didn't realize she had been holding for the first time in a long time. She felt a tiny sense of relief as they stepped out of the hospital. Jessica turned to Tyler Johnson. Why are you doing all this? Tyler Johnson stopped walking and faced her. Because I care, Jessica. She folded her arms, looking at him with suspicion. People don't just help for no reason, Tyler Johnson. What do you want from me? Tyler Johnson sighed. Not everything in life comes with a price. I just want to see you and the boys safe. Jessica studied him, trying to read his face. She had spent so long struggling, so long expecting the worst, that kindness felt strange to her. I don't know how to trust anymore. Tyler Johnson, then don't trust me yet. He said simply, just take things one step at a time. Jessica looked at her boys now, smiling and full for the first time in months. Maybe Tyler Johnson was right. The next morning, Tyler Johnson called Jessica into his study. She sat nervously across from him, unsure of what to expect. I want to offer you a job. Tyler Johnson said. Jessica blinked, confused. A job? Tyler Johnson nodded. Yes, at my company. She shifted in her seat. Tyler Johnson, I don't know anything about business. What would I even do? You'll start with simple tasks, office work, managing records, helping with customer service. You'll learn as you go. Jessica hesitated. I don't think I can do this. I've been out of work for too long. What if I make mistakes? Tyler Johnson smiled. Everyone makes mistakes, Jessica. But I know you're smart. You just need a fresh start. She looked down. What if your employees don't respect me? What if they think I don't belong there? Tyler Johnson leaned forward. Then they'll have to answer to me. But Jessica, this is not about them. This is about you. You have to start believing in yourself. She swallowed hard. The thought of stepping into an office, of working in a place filled with people who had never struggled like she had, felt overwhelming. But then she thought of her boys. They needed stability. They needed a future. She lifted her head and met Tyler Johnson's gaze. Okay, I'll try. Tyler Johnson smiled. That's all I need to hear. Jessica's first day at work was nerve-wracking. She felt out of place as she stepped into the large office building. The employees looked polished and confident, moving through their tasks with ease compared to them. She felt small, unsure. Tyler Johnson introduced her to the staff. This is Amaka. She will be working with us from now on. Please give her all the support she needs. Some employees nodded politely while others exchanged glances. Jessica could hear their silent questions. Who is she? Where did she come from? Does she even know what she's doing? At first, the work felt overwhelming. She struggled with the computer, forgot instructions, and made small mistakes. She felt like everyone was watching, waiting for her to fail one afternoon. She sat at her desk staring at the screen in frustration. Tyler Johnson walked by and noticed. You okay? He asked. She sighed. I don't think I belong here. Tyler Johnson, I feel lost. He pulled up a chair beside her. Jessica, when I started this company, I didn't know half of what I know. Now I made mistakes too. You're learning, that's what matters. She bit her lip. I just don't want to disappoint you. Tyler Johnson shook his head. The only way you can disappoint me is if you give up, and I don't think you're the kind of woman who gives up. His words stayed with her. Day by day, she worked harder. She listened, asked questions, and slowly things started making sense. She learned to use the computer handle records and talk to clients with confidence. One afternoon, a customer walked in upset about an issue with an order. Amaka calmly listened, took notes, and assured him that the problem would be fixed. When the man left, Tyler Johnson, who had been watching, smiled. "You handled that well for the first time since she started." Jessica smiled back. "Maybe I'm starting to figure this out." Tyler Johnson nodded. "I knew you would. If MG and Mbubet, Jessica's sons, were happier than ever. Their tired faces had been replaced with bright smiles. They had new clothes, a warm bed, and food whenever they were hungry. But more than that, they had safety each morning. They ran around the house playing and laughing like children. They followed Tyler Johnson everywhere, calling him Uncle Tyler Johnson. They would sit with him when he read the newspaper, ask him endless questions about his work, and climb onto his lap without hesitation. One evening, as Tyler Johnson sat in the living room, FMG climbed onto the couch beside him. "Uncle Tyler Johnson, will we stay here forever?" Tyler Johnson looked at the boy's hopeful eyes and smiled. "For as long as your mother wants." Ebu Bear, who had been playing on the floor, looked up. "Mommy is happy here. She doesn't cry at night anymore." Tyler Johnson's heart clenched. He reached out and ruffled the boy's hair. "That's a good thing, isn't it?" Ifemi nodded. "Yes, and we love it here too." Jessica, standing by the doorway, watched the scene unfold. She placed a hand over her chest, feeling an emotion she hadn't in a long time: peace. Tyler Johnson had also enrolled the children in a good school, ensuring they had the education they deserved. Far away, in a crowded bar, Amaya sat with a drink in his hand, listening to gossip. A man beside him spoke in a hushed tone. "Do you know Jessica, the one with the twins? She's staying in that rich man's house. Now the man is even taking care of her children." Aya's grip on his glass tightened. "What do you mean, taking care of her children?" The man shook his head. "They live in his house. He feeds them, clothes them. Some say he might even adopt them legally." And make his chest tightened. His mind raced with thoughts. What if this man adopted his children? What if he lost them forever? No, that could not happen. He stood up suddenly, his chair scraping against the floor. "Where can I find this man?" After asking around, AA finally got the information he needed. The next morning, he walked into Tyler Johnson's office without an appointment. The receptionist stood up quickly. "Sir, you can't just..." But Amisha ignored her and barged into Tyler Johnson's office. Tyler Johnson, who had been reviewing documents, looked up surprised. "I heard Jessica is living in your house." Amisha said, his voice sharp. "I want to see my children." Tyler Johnson narrowed his eyes and leaned forward. "Who are you, young man, and how dare you barge into my office without an appointment?" The receptionist stepped in nervously. "I'm sorry, sir. I tried to stop him," but Tyler Johnson lifted a hand, cutting her off. "Hey, that's okay. I'll take it up from here." Mai straightened his shoulders and spoke in a hard voice. "I'm a MA, the father of Jessica's children, and I have every right to see them." Tyler Johnson's expression darkened. The father, he let out a bitter smile. "You left them on the streets, and now you care. Do you even know their names? Do you know how they've survived up to this day?" Emma's face tightened. "They are my blood. I have a right to them." Tyler Johnson stood up slowly, his voice sharp. "A father's right is earned, not claimed when it's convenient. Where were you when they were hungry? Where were you when they had no place to sleep?" Clenched his fists. "I made mistakes, but that doesn't mean I don't love my children. I want to see them now." Tyler Johnson shook his head. "You don't get to walk in here and demand anything. If you truly cared, you wouldn't have let them suffer in the first place." At that moment, the door opened and Jessica walked in. She stopped when she saw Amaya, her face twisting with anger. For a moment, the room was silent. Then Jessica stepped forward, her voice shaking with fury. "You have the nerve to come here after everything you did." AA turned to her. "Jessica, I just want to see my sons. They are mine too." She let out a sharp laugh. "Yours? Did you think about that when you abandoned us? You disconnected our communication link. Where were you when I begged on the streets just to feed them? When I carried them in my arms at night, wondering where we'd find our next meal?" Amia swallowed hard. "I made mistakes." "No," Jessica cut him off, stepping closer. "You made a choice. You chose to leave. You chose to let us suffer while you went on with your life. You don't get to walk in now and act like a father. You don't deserve them." Amia's face darkened. "You can't keep them from me. They are my children." Jessica's eyes burned with anger. "No, Mecha, they are my children. I was the one who raised them. I was the one who protected them. I was the one who suffered for them." "Where were you?" Miss' mouth opened, but no words came out. Jessica took a deep breath, her hands shaking. "You had your chance, Emma. My sons don't need an unreliable father, and I will not let you hurt them." Tyler Johnson finally spoke. "You heard her, now leave." Amia stood frozen, his fists clenched. He looked at Jessica, then at Tyler Johnson, then back at the door as if searching for a way to regain control. But he saw it clearly now. He had lost Jessica's eyes, held no fear, no longing, no regret, only certainty. His lips parted as if he wanted to argue, but nothing came out. He knew there were no words that could undo the past, no excuse that would erase his absence. Finally, he let out a heavy breath and turned towards the door. Without another word, he walked away. Jessica stood still listening as his footsteps faded when the door shut behind him. She let out a long breath. She didn't know she had been holding her hands trembled. Slightly, but it wasn't from fear. It was from relief. Tyler Johnson watched her closely. "Are you okay?" Jessica nodded. "For the first time in years, I think I am days turned into weeks, and life slowly settled into something Jessica had never thought possible. Peace. The twins were thriving. Efemi and Abu Bet no longer looked at the world with tired, fearful eyes. They laughed. Moore played without worry and ran into Tyler Johnson's arms each evening when he returned from work one afternoon. Jessica and Tyler Johnson sat outside in the garden, watching the boys chase each other around. Jessica looked at Tyler Johnson. "I don't think I ever thanked you properly." "Shebron," Tyler Johnson smiled. "You don't have to. Seeing you and the boys happy is enough." She looked him in the eye, and for the first time she allowed herself to feel something she had buried for years one evening. Tyler Johnson and Jessica sat on the balcony. Jessica was scrolling through her phone when Tyler Johnson exhaled slowly and turned to her. "Jessica, I need to tell you something." "Something," he said, pausing, his voice steady but serious. Jessica looked at him, sensing the weight of his words. "What is it?" He hesitated for a brief moment, then spoke. "Jessica, I have loved you for years, but this time I want you to choose me for who I am not. What I have." Jessica's breath caught in her throat. She wasn't expecting this, not now. She searched his face, looking for any sign that he was joking, but Tyler Johnson's eyes held nothing but honesty. She looked away, her heart pounding. "Tyler Johnson, I don't know what to say." "Then don't say anything," he said softly. "Just listen." She swallowed hard, nodding for him to continue. "I don't want to be just the man who helped you when you were down. I want to be more than that. I want to stand by you, not because I feel sorry for you, but because I choose you and I want you to choose me too. Not because of what I've done, but because you truly want to." Jessica stared at the boys, playing, her mind clouded with emotions she had buried for too long. She took a deep breath, gripping the edge of her chair. "Tyler Johnson, this is a lot." Tyler Johnson nodded. "I know, and I don't expect an answer right now, but I needed you to know how I feel." She closed her eyes for a moment, memories flashing through her mind. She had trusted before she had believed in love before, and it had left her broken. "I've been hurt, Tyler Johnson." "Honey, not a kinny," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I gave my heart to someone once, and he destroyed me. What if I make the wrong choice again? What if it all falls apart?" Tyler Johnson reached out and gently took her hand. "I can't promise you that life will be perfect, Jessica, but I can promise you this. I will never leave you. I will never abandon you. Or the boys. I will fight for you, for us, every single day." Tears welled in Jessica's eyes, but she quickly blinked them away. She wanted to believe him. She wanted to trust again, but fear still held on to her heart. She turned to him, searching his face for any doubt, any hesitation, but there was none, just warmth, just patience. "I don't know if I can do this," she admitted. Tyler Johnson squeezed her hand lightly. "Then take your time. I'm not going anywhere for the first time." Jessica allowed herself to consider the possibility of love again. It was terrifying, but this time it also felt safe. As days passed, Jessica found herself watching Tyler Johnson in a different way. She noticed his patience with the boys, the way he always listened when she spoke, the way he never pressured her. He didn't just say he cared, he showed it in every little thing he did one evening. As they sat outside, Jessica took a deep breath and spoke, Tyler Johnson. I see it now. I see who you are, and I know now that I love you too. Tyler Johnson's eyes softened, and for a moment he said nothing. Then he smiled. Are you sure? Jessica nodded. Yes, I am. Not long after Tyler Johnson got down on one knee, holding out a simple but elegant ring. Jessica, will you marry me? Jessica's hands flew to her mouth and happy tears filled her eyes. Yes, Tyler Johnson. Yes, Tyler Johnson laughed, pulling her into a hug. A few days later, Tyler Johnson brought up something important. Jessica, I think it's time we visit your family. Let's make peace with them. Jessica frowned. Tyler Johnson, my father threw me out. He didn't care what happened to me. Why should I go back? Tyler Johnson took her hands in his because forgiveness is not for them, it's for you. And maybe they regret what they did after much thought. Jessica agreed. They traveled to her family home, taking the twins along. When they arrived, her mother broke down in tears, holding Jessica tightly. My daughter, I have missed you so much. Her father, looking older and weaker, stepped forward, his voice shaking. Jessica, I was wrong. I let my pride drive you away. Can you ever forgive me? Tears streamed down Jessica's face. She had carried this pain for years, but in that moment she let it go. Yes, Papa, I forgive you. Tyler Johnson cleared his throat and spoke with respect. Sir, I love your daughter and I want to marry her. I promise to take care of her and the boys. Jessica's father looked at Tyler Johnson, then at his daughter, then he nodded. You have my blessing. My son, the whole family celebrated that night. Jessica's parents were very happy to be reunited with their daughter and grandchildren as they left the next morning. Jessica felt lighter. She had found love, family, and finally peace. The day of the traditional wedding arrived, and the air buzzed with excitement. Family and friends gathered dressed in their finest attire. A macaca adorned in a stunning native outfit walked gracefully into the ceremony venue, her heart filled with emotions she couldn't describe. Drums beat rhythmically, and the melodious sound of traditional songs echoed through the air. Women danced joyfully, their colorful wrappers swaying with each movement. The sweet aroma of jollof rice and fried meat filled the venue, making everyone eager for the feast ahead. Tyler Johnson, dressed in traditional attire, stood at the front. His eyes locked on Jessica when she finally stood before him. He smiled. You look beautiful, Jessica. She blushed, lowering her gaze for a moment before meeting his eyes. And you look like a man ready to become a husband. The ceremony continued with prayers, blessings, and the symbolic pouring of palm wine. Jessica's father, now a humbled man, placed her hands in Tyler Johnson's. Take care of my daughter, he said, his voice thick with emotion. Tyler Johnson nodded. With all my heart. As the night fell, the celebration continued with laughter, music, and endless dancing. The twins ran around happily, their faces full of excitement. Life after the wedding was different, but in the best way possible. Jessica, Tyler Johnson, and the twins settled into their new life, creating a home filled with love and laughter. Tyler Johnson remained the caring man she had grown to love, always putting family first. The twins adored him, calling him Daddy. Without hesitation, he read them bedtime stories and made sure they always had everything they needed. One evening, as Jessica tucked the boys into bed, Tyler Johnson stood by the doorway, watching with a soft smile. When she walked up to him, he pulled her into a warm embrace. Are you happy? He asked. Jessica looked up at him, her heart swelling. More than I ever thought I could be. Tyler Johnson kissed her forehead. Then that's all that matters. As they stood there holding each other, Jessica realized something. Life had given her a second chance, and she had taken it no longer. Was she the woman abandoned on the streets? She was a wife, a mother, and most importantly, she was loved. And so they lived happily, proving that second chances and true love could change lives forever. Life is full of unexpected turns, but no matter how hard things get, hope is never truly lost. Sometimes help comes from the least expected places, and second chances can lead to a beautiful new beginning. Jessica's story teaches us that strength is not in facing struggles alone, but in accepting help when it